Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So Donald Trump says that Nikki Haley, if she were to become the next president, she would be cutting benefits for 82% of Americans' Social Security benefits. That is, we're going to be covering how much truth there is to that. Plus, after 3 U.S. troops were killed in a drone strike by a group backed by Iran, Biden is now promising revenge. Are we in the midst of a war with Iran or possibly even World War III? We'll be covering that as well. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $9,000 in free stocks or $9,000 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Webull. All you got to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then deposit at least 1 penny. At that point, Webull will be sending you at least 3 free stocks worth, once again, all the way up to $9,000. Okay, so diving right into our lead story of today's video, and that is Trump's continued attacks against Nikki Haley. Trump has a huge lead against Haley. You would think with a lot of these attacks that they were actually in a much closer race. I think that Trump could pretty much just sit back and coast at this point, and he would absolutely crush the rest of the states until at least Nikki Haley ends up dropping out of the race. But Trump released a new ad about Nikki Haley, saying that Haley's plan on Social Security would cut benefits for 82% of people. This is from the Tampa Bay Times. They're basically doing kind of a fact check of the statement. So former President Donald Trump continued to attack Nikki Haley's position on Social Security in the run-up to New Hampshire's presidential primary last week. In the ad, it said Americans were promised a secure retirement. Nikki Haley's plan ends that. Haley's plan cuts Social Security benefits for 82% of Americans. And then, of course, it cuts to a clip of what she was saying. And she says that we say the rules have changed. We changed retirement age to reflect life expectancy. What we do know is that 65 is way too low, and we need to increase that. Well, first of all, the full retirement age is actually either 66 or 67, not 65. Not sure exactly where she's getting the number of 65. The article goes on to say that we know from a previous fact check that this excerpt is of Haley's quote is missing context. Haley specified that the rules should change for younger Americans, not current or imminent beneficiaries. But would her plan, as this new Trump ad claims, cut Social Security benefits for 82% of Americans, or roughly 272 million people? They go on to say that no, the Trump ad is an extreme exaggeration of how many Americans would be affected by Haley's plan for Social Security. It would not affect retirees or people nearing retirement. The 82% appears to be a reference of a rough estimate of the total Americans eligible for Social Security benefits. And, so even though 82%, as I mentioned there, is an extreme exaggeration, not exactly the case under Haley's plan, how many Americans would this plan affect if Haley were to become the next president? And, well, she pretty much mentions that for younger Americans, those not that close, I guess, to the full retirement age would have their retirement age lifted perhaps to the age of 70. And according to the CNN article here, this is back in 2020, more than 50% of the U.S. population is now under the age of 40. So if all the population under the age of 40 right now had their benefits cut, I guess, by having to wait a longer period of time, let's say to the age of 70 to start collecting Social Security benefits, under her plan, no, it wouldn't be 80% of Americans affected, it would be 50%. But 50%, half of Americans affected by this change, would certainly be a pretty big impact. Now, in some other news, of course, unfortunately, there was a drone strike by an Iran-backed group. Ended up killing 3 U.S. troops in Jordan. And because of this, President Biden is promising some sort of revenge. What will this revenge be? Will it be directly on Iran soil? Will it be against one of the backed groups of Iran? How exactly is he going to go about doing this? It's obviously going to cause a huge impact. Whatever Biden decides, it could be, it could be definitely a decisive matter of how things go for the rest of 2024. So according to AP News, President Joe Biden said on Sunday that the U.S., quote, shall respond after 3 American troops were killed and dozens more were injured in an overnight drone strike in northeast Jordan near the Syrian border. Biden blamed Iran-backed militias for the first U.S. fatalities after months of strikes by such groups against American forces against the across the Middle East since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. Biden said in a written statement that the United States will hold all those responsible to account at a time and a manner of our choosing. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said, quote, "We will take all necessary actions to defend the United States, our troops, and our interest." And my heart completely goes out to those troops that were killed, their family members, their loved ones. Just horrible, heartbreaking news for that to happen. And once again, where we go from here, obviously some type of retaliation has to take place. But at the same time, we don't want to take more innocent lives. Like, for example, just bombing the homeland of Iran and, innocent civilians there being dead. So I'm not sure what Biden decides to do from here. And of course, we have a lot of GOP lawmakers also calling on Biden to retaliate on Iran after, of course, 3 U.S. troops killed in the drone attack by the Hill. So several Republican lawmakers quickly hit the Biden administration for what they called past-failed responses to other Iranian-linked attacks and urged the White House to take greater action moving forward. The House Intelligence Committee Chair Mike Turner said he was saddened to hear about the drone strike, which he called a direct result of the administration's failure to respond to previous attacks. He said the Biden administration must take serious action against Iran and the terrorist groups that they're funding to attack American troops and military bases, Turner wrote in a Sunday statement. And then Marco Rubio took to X, formerly known as Twitter. He said, 2 months ago, I warned that if Biden didn't impose direct consequences on Iran, these attacks would spread beyond Syria and Iraq and kill Americans. Tragically, it has now happened, and that is something that I, of course, warned. And once again, what type of retaliation is going to take place here? What exactly is Biden going to decide? What are we going to decide to do? Are we going to attack Iran's soil? Are we just going to go against these, are we going to try to attack these militant groups? What exactly can we do here? What is the right measure? I'm interested in hearing your thoughts and comments below. What exactly should we do? Should we impose the sanctions that were put by Trump on Iran once again? They were lifted by Biden. What exactly should we do? What is the right move? Because once again, whatever Biden decides, whatever his retaliation measure could impose ripple effects on the future. If Biden, for example, attacks him too strongly, is Iran going to try to retaliate back and maybe try to hit U.S. soil themselves? Are they going to be successful? Are they perhaps going to try to attack an ally of the United States, such as attacking Israel? By them attacking Israel, of course, U.S. is going to have to try to get retaliation once again. And this Middle East war involving Israel and Hamas could, of course, expand to Israel, to Iran, the United States, and we could bring all these other countries in, and that could perhaps eventually start a World War III, something that we definitely need to avoid. So whatever happens here in the future, I think all countries have to be treading extremely carefully, and I just hope that at some point these countries just value peace and we can avoid a war, avoid innocent civilians dying, and that's really all we can hope for. But let me know what your thoughts and comments are below. What do you believe the appropriate measure here is for the U.S. to retaliate against Iran and these backed militant groups that Iran is directly funding? But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.